In today's video we are going to talk about centering in Call of Duty. We are going to talk about what centering is, why it's an important skill to have, the different types of centering, and suggest some practice drills and good habits to help improve your centering. So let's go, baby! Essentially, centering is this dot in the middle of the screen and where you decide to point it as you navigate through the game. And like the game of life, it's about where you direct your focus that makes the difference. For example, you do not want to be looking at the floor if you are running down this corridor. Having good centering helps you minimize the time it takes to get on target when an enemy appears. There are several different aspects to good centering, but for the sake of this tutorial I have placed them into 4 sections: basic, intelligent, predictive, and ADS. Basic centering is your most standard and should be practiced at all times. Your center dot should be roughly around center mass, and any movement of your center dot should come from this position and return to this position. To practice this, start a private match. Select Team Deathmatch with 0 enemy players. And try walking around the map, keeping your dot at center mass and as steady as possible. Then practice making quick adjustments and returning back to center mass. Then try sprinting, sliding, and jumping, doing the same thing. Then try taking what you have learnt and applying it in a real game. Having good basic centering is essential to becoming better at the game, and without basic centering you cannot learn more advanced techniques like intelligent centering. Intelligent centering comes from experience and from understanding different maps and other people's play styles. Basic centering suggests that you should keep your center dot at mid-chest level at all times. And whilst this is good standard practice, it is not always practical. What if you start to notice that on this corner every player slides into view? What if there is no possible way there is a player on this side of the screen? Then having your dot at center mass would be counterproductive, and it would make more sense to have your dot here or here. Intelligent centering is also using your center dot to look at things that are not necessarily in the center of the screen. For example, you may be pinned down in a room with only 2 points of entry, and you do not know which door the enemies will push through. In this situation, it would be wise to have your dot centered like this to allow you to see both doors. You may also want to view a certain angle or part of the map that is out of view, and often you do not have to aim your dot directly at that point to see it. You can simply nudge it slightly to get a clear sight of what you want to see. Predictive centering is very similar to intelligent centering and also comes from experience, but predictive centering is a lot more impulsive and reactionary. If you are practicing good basic centering, you should always have your center dot in a relatively sensible position. But your enemies could come from anywhere. So how do we know where the best place to position it is? Again, this comes from experience of the game and experience of the maps, which you would use intelligent centering to decide, but with predictive centering you are predicting your opponent's next move. Will they slide? Will they jump? Did you throw a stun or semtex? Are they left no choice but to jump or sprint? Predictive centering is all about using your game sense and skills to predict your opponent's next move, and therefore quickly adjusting your center dot to put you in the best position for that gunfight. ADS centering is by far the most complex aspect of centering and comes from lots of practice and understanding of the weapon you are using. There are several factors that affect the actual practice of centering to aim at an opponent to actually hitting that opponent. Those factors are ADS time, sprint to fire time, and bullet velocity. And you can add different attachments to a gun to affect and adjust those properties. ADS stands for aim down sight and refers to the time it takes a particular weapon to go from not aiming down sight to aiming down sight. Sprint to fire is similar but only refers to the amount of time it takes to go from sprinting to firing. And bullet velocity is the amount of time it takes for a bullet to travel from the gun to the target. But how do these things relate to centering? Because where your center dot is in relation to aiming at the enemy before aiming down sight, affects where your bullet will land once you aim down sight and take the shot. For example, before taking the shot, notice how the center dot is slightly ahead of the enemy. And if we look at the whole of this situation, we can see that every aspect of centering mentioned in this tutorial has been executed. Basic centering. Not looking at the floor. Center mass. Intelligent and predictive centering. Understanding the map and where enemies might appear. And then ADS centering. Placing the center dot slightly ahead of the enemy to allow for accurate result when pulling the trigger. ADS centering can be very complex and you will not be expected to understand every detail of the gun you are using, especially if you are new to the game. Although feel free to explore and experiment. But ADS centering will come with repetition and practice. A good way to practice ADS centering is to start a private match. Set up Team Deathmatch and give yourself max spots at recruit level. Then set the game for headshots only. This will allow you to practice with any gun of your choice, with the aim being to hit your enemies as quickly and as accurately as possible with one bullet. This drill will help you practice all aspects of centering mentioned in this video, so you can take and develop these skills in a real game environment. Anyway, I hope this tutorial has helped you understand some of the basic fundamentals of centering, what it is used for and how to practice and get better at it. And if you are new to the game and want to get better, I hope it helped you to understand just how complex the competitive nature of this game can be. If you would like to search out Call of Duty players that have very good centering, check out Mutex, Scump, Diaz, Biffle, Celium, and Shotzi, to name a few. These guys should give you a good starting point and lead you down a very interesting rabbit hole. So if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please click the like button and consider subscribing for up-to-date notifications on new content. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.